Hey, what's up my friends? Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Victor, and today I'm going to take you along with me for another hike. I'll answer some of your questions. It's a beautiful day. Hope you're enjoying this neat little spot here by the waterfall. And so today I'm going to touch on, I'm going to touch on the present energies and sort of the catharsis it's initiating a little bit. I'm going to talk about, someone asked about crying and is it normal? I go into crying a little bit, and I also talk about music and how it can affect your vibration. So I'll see you all in the video. I'm going to bounce. We'll see you soon. So I'm going to answer a question that someone sent me. It basically was saying, is it normal to cry all the time? They're crying all the time over little things. Even like seeing a little kitten, they just start bawling, and it's kind of like sometimes they're crying because they're intensely sad. Other times it's just like tears of joy over something somewhat small, like again seeing a little baby kitten or something. So I'm going to talk about that real quick. So of course there's going to be a lot of things that you experience during your awakening that are not normal, especially in most people's eyes. I've had many different changes that pertain to crying. For one, I would say don't resist it. It's a good thing, because crying is a form of like emotional and energetic release. What's very uncomfortable is when you're blocked up and you're bound up and you can't have that release. You're just having a lot of release, and it always feels really good after a good cry. A lot of times in our lives something happens that's sad and we don't let ourselves cry. A lot of us guys think it's uncool or unmanly to cry. A lot of women, men, everybody just feels it's kind of a sign of weakness, or maybe the situation seems like we'd be a burden if we're just bawling all the time. So we sort of just naturally go through life holding everything in. Now this awakening is forcing everything out, so don't fight it. It's worse to not be able to cry, and that's something I've experienced. I've had a time in my life when this is when I finally got clean off of heroin. I was a heroin addict for a while there, and I was completely numb. I wanted to cry. I felt, like I said, bound up, like I needed to release. I wanted to feel something, like the effects of the heroin finally sunk in so deep to me emotionally that I was just numb to everything and very apathetic feeling. And I remember this one day I was boxing with my friends, and it was like my roommates, you know, we got these like boxing gloves and we were beating the crap out of each other. And my buddy Derek, he ended up hitting me really good with the right straight and like knocked me down. And that like opened up the floodgates, thank God. I started bawling like a little baby right there on the spot, and I literally cried in like a fetal position for like 3 hours. I couldn't stop, but I was so happy to be crying. It was a great release. Now another thing that I've experienced that I'm sure you guys do too, we're just becoming more sensitive to everything. So yeah, there are times where even like I just feel very emotionally sensitive. So like a good movie, where maybe in the past, like in high school, I'd watch like an uplifting movie and I wouldn't really get choked up at all, maybe a little bit, and I'd hold it in. Now it doesn't take as much to get me like choked up. And there are periods where I get more choked up more easily than others. It just sort of depends. And again, there's other times where I feel intense sadness that I cry and I get emotional. Like sometimes when I think about some of the pain that people are going through in life, you know, some sort of situation out there in the world, sometimes it affects me very intensely emotionally, where I get extremely sad, like I feel like the weight of the world on my shoulders and I just cry. And other times it's the same thoughts about something and I'm less emotional. But what I've learned is to just allow this to kind of go down. Don't worry if it's normal. Again, you're in the process of purging all the things inside of you that are keeping you unhappy, and as they come out, you'll sometimes experience the emotion of sadness, sometimes bliss and joy and love, sometimes anger and frustration, and to varying degrees of sensitivity. But none of it is good or bad, right or wrong. It just is what it is. So that's what I have to say about the whole crying thing. gonna get out of here. I was in a neat spot back there, but there's too many people coming through and kind of camping out. So I didn't want to like make them feel too uncomfortable being on my YouTube video. So we're gonna move here. This is definitely a beautiful area. I will certainly have to come back here on a less busy day. It's Friday and it just seems busier here than normal, but this is a great spot to be, man. Just this flowing water is so peaceful. So I'll definitely treat you guys to this backdrop another time, but for now we're gonna bounce. Really, man, this is like the best thing I've ever done for myself. One of them is starting to come out here more often. I feel like just being out here is really seeping into me. Just the energy of nature is just it's like absorbing into me, and it lingers with me even after I leave. I feel like the more I come, the better quality my videos become, the more happy I become. It's a win-win for all of us. So all right, time to climb. We'll be up there in a minute. Okay, folks, so this question is for Sharon. She was basically saying that, I know music has either lower vibrational frequencies or higher. Do you have any suggestions on a specific music that'll keep my ascension process positive and moving? Or also any music that I should avoid for the opposite, for the same reason, essentially, stuff that'll bring me down. Now, here's what I experienced. I went through a phase, kind of similar to what I was talking about yesterday, where I started researching a lot of like the dark stuff, dark information, dark content that was relevant. And during that time, whether there's a correlation or not, doesn't matter, I don't know. I also noticed a strong aversion to a lot of things that people would judge as negative. I stopped watching a lot of the TV shows I used to really enjoy, like The Sopranos and Dexter. There's a lot of like HBO and Showtime shows that I get really into. And I started, especially like The Walking Dead, I started to see them in like a much different light. Like, wow, these are very negative types of shows. They evoke powerful emotions in myself, and at the time I suspected that they were there to keep people in the vibration of fear. I found this exact same scenario with music. There was a lot of like heavy music I would listen to in high school, like heavy metal, rap, not a lot of rap, but some rap, mostly like hard rock and heavy metal. And I started to say, wow, this is kind of dark. This is kind of making me uncomfortable, that kind of thing. So for a while I avoided anything that I perceived to be negative. And at the time, it seemed to be appropriate because I was oversensitive and it was too much. That has kind of come back around. I realize now that it's not that the music, the shows, anything is inherently negative. It's rather, it was just my perception of it. I started to judge it as bad, low vibration, negative. So my experience of it reflected that, where it took on a darker tint, you could say. But again, I realized it's not that in and of itself, because later my true self started to continue to evolve and to emerge more cleanly. And I realized that a lot of that stuff I put and I cast aside because I thought it was bad or low vibration. I started kind of feeling like a natural affinity for. Like I reintroduced a lot of that stuff into my life, and now again I have a much more balanced perspective on things. Like right now me and my wife are going back through the show Game of Thrones, that popular HBO show. There was a time when that would have been way too much. That's negative, they're chopping each other's heads off, it's too crazy. But again, even though that was how it was at one point in my life, now it's not like that. I think it's a very good quality show that Victor personally happens to enjoy watching. And it's part of my joy. I just like it. I like to watch it. So I'm not going to avoid something I actually like and feel drawn to because my mind labels it as bad. Rather, the mindset and attitude of avoiding things that we decide are bad, that's in a sense a low vibration state of being, rather than knowing you are a free spirit and have the power to discern and judge all of life the way you personally choose. So go with what resonates. If hardcore music resonates and has a positive effect on you, then it's not bad. That situation, that relationship between you and the music is a positive and uplifting one. I also came back around with the music, as I mentioned. I listen to a lot of hard music now that there was a time when I put away. So again, you just got to be honest with how you actually feel about it. And if you want to have the definition that some music is bad and low vibration and others is not, then you will have that experience to validate that. But that's not empirically true. That's your experience, which is determined by your relationship with it that you have power over. So honor yourself. Don't worry about any of what I just said. You go in the direction in all ways that resonates, that feels right to you. Don't let the mind block you away from a positive experience. Okay, folks, that's it for Mission Gorge. I'm going to head back here. I'll finish, as I walk back, I'll talk about something I just saw. It's a comment I saw yesterday by a sweet username, a Conscious Flower. She was saying that I'm really low right now, and there's a lot of negative stuff surfacing right now for me that I wish wouldn't. And it seems that as I focus on these negative things coming up, they're reflected to me in my reality. So I know that, of course, intensifies the experience. And it's, for a lot of reasons, you can make a case for this is not good. That sounds like all around a bad situation, right? Challenging stuff coming up. Not only is it coming up, but it's hard not to dwell on it because it's like so present in your mind and body and whatnot. But even more so, it's being reflected out there in your life. This stuff coming up is wreaking havoc in your life. How is that a good thing, Victor? Well, you probably suspect I'm going to try to have a positive spin on this because this is a good thing. Because all that stuff that you were hoping would not come up was always there, and it was always affecting you. You just didn't know it. You never saw the connection between how your life unfolds and that deep unconscious stuff that, again, you were completely oblivious to. Now it's coming up, and you're so sensitive and conscious that the experience is definitely different. It's no longer an unconscious manifestation of this baggage that you were unaware of. Now it's a conscious experience, and you're seeing very directly how this is a negative thing. This is negatively impacting your life. And I know for a time when this happens, because we just keep going through that over and over, if you haven't realized, most of you I'm sure have, for a time we seem to feel suffocated by it, like we can't not be negative, we can't not manifest this negativity out there. And again, it's just an overall uncomfortable experience. But that's just you witnessing yourself transcend all of that. It's on its way out. It takes its sweet ass time, yeah, and messes with your life a little bit on the way out, and you experience it so deeply and intensely. But then it's gone. Something that used to be dragging behind you, weighing you down, obscuring your clear perception of reality, affecting your decisions, keeping you unhappy and discontent and in a state of dis-ease and unrest, is now gone. You've transcended it. But where you're at, in the low spot, you're just like in the middle of that whole catharsis. So I go through this a lot myself, and I'd be lying if I said I liked it or didn't think it sucks big time, because it does. It sucks to go through, but the payoff always shows up, and I'm always thankful having gone through it. And it's just germane to this awakening process that you're going through, and it's best just to accept it the best you can. That's what I do. And try to view it from a more accurate and holistic perspective, rather than this is happening and I don't like it, and then you really can't see the forest through the trees. Say, this is a small aspect of this larger process playing out, and it always has an end result that benefits me on all levels. So that's what I would suggest anyhow. I think a lot of us are having this process happen right now on a more noticeable level. This is kind of always happening. Sometimes it's more subtle, but sometimes big core stuff comes up, and that tends to take a little while. But at the same time, the payoff is proportionate to what's coming up. And once you release this big load, you're going to feel it. You're going to realize how much it was affecting you this whole time, and the implications of where you can now go freely in your life. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to make you lift off the freaking ground, because this whole process is amazing. It's finally going to let you be free to create the life that you really want. And right now you're just dealing with all the stuff that's going to hold you back from that. So I wish you luck with that. Wish you all luck with that. Wish me luck with that. It's not something I enjoy myself, but again, there's a payoff. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I will speak to you all soon. Have an amazing day. Love you all very much. Thank you for your awesome comments. Thank you for everything. Thank you for sticking with me through my transformation, my own transition here with the YouTube format anyhow. And I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.